Welcome to episode 555 of the Eventing Radio Show, brought to you by the Eventing Riders Association of North America. That's right, folks, you heard it right. It's all the fives, 555 shows. That's quite impressive, isn't it? This week on the show, it is super impressive. We speak to Russell Mueller of Pro Elite Feeds. We also have a European champion on the line. We have a New Zealand rider on the line, and an Australian rider on the line. It's very, very interesting this week. This is Paul Tapner hosting today's show, and I've lost my co-host Liz. She's not with me today, so it's just me. But as I said in the opener, we've got a fantastic show for you. And I promised you a European champion, and straight in there, our first guest is exactly that. It is a European pony champion and recently crowned such from the recent Pony European Championships in eventing. We have Finn Healy on the line. Finn, welcome to the Eventing Radio Show.
Thank you very much.
Now, Finn, have you been inspired today? Because I'm just going to set the scene for our listeners here. Today is the European Championships for all the seniors. So we've seen all of the European teams battling it out at Le Moulin on the cross country there today. Been plenty of people glued to their TV sets and their iPads and the likes watching it. Were you inspired by that, watching that as well, and thinking that might be you one day, given that your recent success?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've been sat at the TV watching it. I've been at Ben Hobday's watching it, and it was incredibly inspiring. And hopefully one day that's the plan.
You'll be on there and inspiring the next generation as well. So you mentioned there Ben Hobday. So did you have a bit of a watch party there or something?
No, I've come up to Ben and Emma's for a few days training at his yard, which he very kindly offers me, and it's a great experience, and I'll learn a lot while I'm here.
Very good. And so tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, because you've suddenly come into the limelight as a double gold medalist. Not only did you win individual gold at these Pony European Championships, but also Team GB, your teammates, did their bit as well and got you a second gold medal. So just tell our listeners a little bit, because they're not all 100% familiar with the ponies, because we have a lot of Australians and a lot of American listeners. So how old are you, Finn?
I'm 15.
And so presumably that means you're still at school?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And just unfortunately, desperate to get out and be a full-time rider, I'm going to hazard a guess.
Yeah.
And so you have how many ponies or how many horses?
So I only have the one, Casper, Midnight Dancer, that I went to the Europeans on. And we've had him since a 4-year-old. My sister produced him up to the Pony Europeans last year, where she won team gold on him. And then I took over the ride on him in November. And we gelled reasonably quickly. He's quite a sensitive pony. And so it took a bit of time in that respect, but then it's been a bit of a whirlwind of a season with all the trials, because I never expected to do as well as the trials as I did, never mind at the Europeans.
So that's a pretty impressive story. So your sister rode the horse before you. So how old's your sister?
She's 17, so she went out of ponies last year, and so she did all the hard work with him, to be honest. And she's remained the owner.
That's very impressive. So it's a real family affair then. And like you say, you had the horse since a 4-year-old. So your sister, like you said, has done all the hard work. I'm sure you've done a little bit along the way there as well, though. Does that mean you felt pressure from your sister, or did she help you or train you, or how does that work?
No, she's been very supportive. She's always wanted the best for me and Casper, because she loves the pony so much. It's he's very special to all of the family, really. And
now you mentioned all of the family. So your sister rides, you ride. Anybody else? How many other more medalists and superstars are there in the family?
Well, my mum rode up to Old 3-star. and she's really been the knowledgeable person in our family, guiding us and training us. And my dad, he plays golf, but he's also extremely supportive.
I like that. He plays golf, but he's supportive of the ponies rather than he's not trying to ride anything.
No, definitely not.
Prefers the golf than the horses. I think he's a very wise man. So tell us a little bit about your journey with your horse, your pony this year, and explain to our listeners how this pony system works. Because, like I say, we have a lot of Australasian, a lot of American listeners that don't necessarily understand the ponies. You have to do some pony trials, and presumably you have to get selected. And I think there was maybe a national championships you have to do as well.
Yeah, so there's a set of trials from March to the end or start of June, and then so it's a build up over time. They start off at novice, then the first 2-star is at Withington Manor at the end of April, and then from there you go to Brand Hall, which is the British National Pony Championships, and then following then, if you've done well at the trials, you go onto a long list, which is about 12 riders, and then you go to the final trial, which was at Tweedledown this year, and from there they select the 6 to go to the Europeans.
So you knew you were going to be one of those 6 riders at what point? Straight after Tweedledown?
A couple of days after you get the phone call, and then it's announced.
And then did you know straight away then that you were on the team? Because it's obviously not a team of 6.
No, we wait till after trot up at the Europeans to announce the team.
So you have 6 of you go, and you all travelled out to Stragum in Poland. Now, again, for some of our listeners who are not familiar, it's quite a hike, isn't it? You know, that would have been quite an adventure. Yeah. Have you travelled at that internationally with your horses before?
No, it was my first international event, and it was the pony's first international event as well. And but yeah, no, it was quite a trek for them. It was 3 days driving for them.
And how did you guys go? Did you go in the truck with them, or were you life of luxury in a plane?
No, we were life of luxury in a plane.
Got spoilt. You had the proper royal treatment there then for the proper GBR team members. And you turn up, and so then you had to do your trot up, but you still didn't know whether you're on the team or not, or competing it as an individual until after you've trotted up. So presumably you've walked the course and all sorts of things by then.
Yeah. But it's very much a squad of 6. Everybody has roles. The individuals feedback to the team members on the cross country, and are just as important as the team members are. And it's definitely as a squad of 6, not a team of 4.
Fantastic. So it must have been a good thrill to get on that team. And how did the competition go? Were you in the lead all the way from the start to finish?
No. Well, after the 3 days travelling, we did some light schooling for the days leading up to the dressage, and I was on the Friday dressage because I was third to go for the team, and I felt like he was going as the best he's ever gone, so I was quite excited for it. And he pulled off a solid test. There was one mistake in his walk, however, he kept his head quite well, as that can be his letdown. And yeah, we were in 10th going into cross country, so I was really pleased with that. And he flew around the cross country inside the time. It wasn't as big as the trials, I'd say, in England. However, it was very technical, and it proved that with the results, and it certainly stirred up the pack a little bit, and that put us in 6th going into show jumping. And I always dreamt that if I jumped clear show jumping, I might be in with a chance of a bronze medal, but then I never imagined it to be a gold. And he jumped clear, and from then on, a bit of a blur, to be honest, a whirlwind of emotions, and it was just great to be a part of, and for the team to win gold as well, to experience such a great thing together was amazing.
Indeed, that does sound exciting, and there's nothing better than rising up the rankings as an event rider. Starting off in 10th after dressage, up to 6th, and then a meteoric rise up to a gold medal position with a clear show jumping round. So presumably that means you finished on your dressage score, and that's always the ultimate aim of every event rider. Get a good dressage, finish on that dressage score, which you did, and then win the gold medal. So you've got to be super happy with that and very impressive. So I'd have to say congratulations there, mate. And then the team. So what about the team? Were they in gold medal position all the way through?
Yeah, we were. It was close, I think, with us and the Germans after dressage. However, we pulled away after cross country, and we had quite a sizable gap going into show jumping, and from that we extended it, and we won by 18.2 penalties, I think, around there. So we won by quite a big margin, which was amazing as well. It was incredible, and the team really deserved it. Everyone had worked so hard throughout the whole season for it, and it was great to be a part of.
Well, that sounds fantastic as well. Now, you did mention you're up there training with Mr. Hobday, and mentioned that you're a little bit upset about having to go back to school because, that has to be done. So I'm sensing the plan is, get out of school and become a pro event rider or something of the kind. Would that be about it, or are you going to go down race riding or something else?
No, well, I'd love to try and make it as an event rider. However, I will stay at school and do my A levels and make sure I have a backup plan, as I think that's important. However, yeah, it is the dream, and hopefully it can become a reality one day to become a professional event rider. We'll just have to see how things go.
Well, I'm sure it won't be for a lack of trying ambition and, by the sounds of it, skill. So, Finn, thank you for coming on the Eventing Radio Show. Now, are you on any sort of social media that's public for people to follow you? Do you have a public Facebook page or an Instagram page, so that people can follow your progress up through and perhaps into this career?
Yeah, I've got an Instagram page, which is Finn Healy Eventing. And yeah, I'm active on that, and it's open for anybody to follow.
All right, so I'm going to ask you those, really bad questions. How many followers did you have pre your gold medals?
Well, I had 5,000, I think, and then I gained 3,000 on the final day. After it, so I'm now on about 8,500.
That's pretty impressive. I don't know that being on the Eventing Radio Show is going to get you up to 10,000, but clearly that's probably going to be the next milestone you're looking for. But anybody who's listening, who's on Instagram, give Finn Healy a bit of a follow there, and we'll see if we can bump him up to that 10,000. Finn, thanks for coming on the Eventing Radio Show, and I look forward to seeing your progress.
Thank you very much.
The Eventing Riders Association of North America is the collective voice of riders, equine professionals, and owners in pursuit of enhancing the growing sport of eventing in North America. In cooperation with our members, governing bodies, related committees, and organizers, ERA of NA works to improve the overall welfare, safety, visibility, and growth of the sport. ERA of NA, your voice matters for the sport of eventing. Jump in and engage by becoming a member today. Find them online at www.eraofna.com.
Now, listeners, you will be aware that every time we have a guest on the show, we're always asking them for their social media handles, and we encourage you to follow them so you can follow their progress. And we always say we want to follow the progress of our guests. Now, I've got on the show now a guest which we did speak to earlier this year after she had a fantastic win at Gatcombe in the United Kingdom. And we say, follow this person, see how they're going. Well, I'm tell you what, I am very, very happy to have New Zealand rider Lucy Jackson back on the line with us, because I have been following her progress and she's been amazing since we spoke to her. So Lucy, welcome back to the Eventing Radio Show.
Thank you very much. I nearly wonder whether you should charge us a premium for appearing on your show, if that's the effect you have on our scores.
Well, I wish it was my effect, Lucy. If I could claim just speaking to you for 10 or 15 minutes on the eventing radio show was going to make you win all these accolades, then I think I'd be a wealthy man, considering how much most people pay for training. It's an interesting type of training fee, isn't it? You might be onto something, Lucy.
It's the difference I was searching for, Tappy.
And I don't think I believe a single word that just came out of your mouth. But Lucy, you have been absolutely on fire. Now, I'll just remind our guests, we spoke to you back at the beginning of April and having just won with your fantastic horse, Superstition. You just won the Gatcombe Advanced Intermediate, the top class of that weekend. And you're pretty happy, pretty stoked with your favourite pony. And you then went on not much longer, the next month, to have an amazing result in the Event Rider Masters at Chatsworth, the opening leg of the 2019 Event Rider Masters series. Boom, up there on the podium, third place. So, that must have been pretty amazing.
That was seriously amazing. I think that was I said it was my first podium. It was definitely my first ERM podium, having only ever done one ERM before and placed 11th. I had actually had a couple of ribbons at international level, but it was certainly the most money I'd ever won, and that was hugely exciting. And it was the most competitive class I'd probably been part of, so that was exciting.
Indeed, it was super exciting, and it always is on the Event Rider Masters. And Event Rider Masters is run over the short course. Now, not everybody focuses every horse on short courses. A lot of people still use the short course competitions to prepare for the long courses, which is what our whole sport is designed about. We do have short course specialist horses, which just focus on the likes of the Masters and the Nations Cups and things like that. But you were definitely using Chatsworth as a preparation for your next long course, and you did that at Bramham. So you went to Bramham International at the 4-star long course, and I think you did pretty well there as well. I think that was your horse's first long 4-star.
It was, yes, and he did brilliantly. He came 5th, finishing on his dressage, and at just a 10-year-old, I think that's probably no mean feat. And I think only 3 others at that show, or 4 others at that show, pulled that off. So why didn't I win? I didn't get a better dressage score, but he did as brilliantly as he could on the Saturday and the Sunday. So be pretty happy with that.
Well, we've just been speaking to Finn Healy, who's our current pony European double gold medalist, and we were just saying that he finished on his dressage score to win that. And if you finish on your dressage, you want to really jump up those rankings. So although you might not have won by finishing on your dressage, and that might have motivated you to get some more dressage training, you certainly would have shot up the ranks, especially like you said, there's only less than half a dozen people managed to do that. So after dressage, you've got any idea where you were? I mean, it was a big field. I imagine about 100 or so.
At Bramham, that's embarrassing. I don't know. I think I was 11th after the dressage at Chatsworth and moved up to 4th with the show jumping in 3rd with the cross country. But let me think now. Bramham. No, that's in the too hard basket. Sorry, Tappers.
Too long ago.
Yeah, I wasn't where I wanted to be. Put it that way. Is that a good enough?
It is a good enough. I wouldn't remember the exact numbers, but I would have thought that you probably, after the dressage phase, weren't necessarily in the top 10.
No.
Definitely not. There you go. But then by finishing on the dressage, shot up there into the 5th place at Bramham, which is a very, very credible result, like you say, for a 10-year-old horse, for a long star 4-star. So, just been going fantastic. And then recently, you've been going even better because you've graced Event Rider Masters with your presence again. So back out we go, hungry for another podium. You've proven you can do it at the opening leg in Chatsworth, and going to Millstreet in Ireland, the first Irish leg of the Event Rider Masters. And did you manage to finish on your dressage score again?
Stop it, I know, and I actually won.
There we go.
41 years to win an international, and I've finally done it, and what a day to do it. I was actually part of the podcast in the predictions for Millstreet, and it was a pretty awe-inspiring field. It was a real who's who of eventing. I think there were 4 of the world's top 5 riders in our class. So I didn't go there with any sort of pretense that I was going to feature in the favourite. I just went there with a very, very, very nice horse who was in very good form. It's a brilliant event. It's a brilliant course. It's a really cool, I mean, it's obviously a seriously cool class to be part of, but it has its own pressures with, you know, the cool kids at large. So I was extremely chuffed with Superstition's victory there.
Indeed, and it was great to see that you were so open about that, and it was great to see you having a real emotional time about winning, about getting on that podium and really enjoying yourself. I mean, it was clear to all how much it meant to you and that you were very happy about the fact that you just won an Event Rider Masters class. So I mean, congratulations, and that was great for all of the spectators and all of your fellow riders to see. It's awesome when things like that happen. And like you said, it was the who's who. It was an amazing field of riders. The quality of field that was there in terms of the horses and the riders was second to none in terms of Event Rider Masters history. It was very much so a very, very strong field. Now, tell us, is that ERM class, you went to Chatsworth, podiumed on the Masters there, and then went and did a long 4-star at Bramham. Is this another prep run for another long course, rather?
It is. That was the original plan, is to go from Millstreet to Blenheim. And I had a little sort of flirtation after Millstreet with, should I ditch Blenheim and go to Lignières? And it's hugely tempting. People say, it's not about the money, we do it for the love of the sport. But I tell you what, the money helps. And for someone like me to be in line to win a prize like I won at Millstreet is just off the scale exciting. I'm super lucky. I've got massively supportive owners, and I get to share that check, and that is a huge, huge, huge deal. So I'm 90% sure I should stick to my plan. I've got a pretty firm eye on a big important event next summer, and I think in terms of Olympic selection, I need to be proving myself in the long format as well as the short format. So I think it's a flirtation, and I don't think it's going to go any further, but I'm not going to say no, because, as I say, wowie, this Event Rider Masters has basically revolutionised our sport, and it's the way surely it's got to go. So that it is hard going, and it is pretty sensational to be part of something like that. Not only the money obviously is groundbreaking, really, for us and for me, and my poor dad hasn't been very well, so for him to be part of the action from his from home in England while we were away in Ireland was a huge deal, and it is a team sport, and there's an amazing quotation by Steve Redgrave, who won all the Olympic medals in rowing, and he said, "You can aspire alone, but it takes a team to achieve." So to have such a great gang behind me, but for them all to be able to be part of it, thanks to the televised, of the ERM, it's just unreal. It's so cool.
Well, Lucy, I would, like to say thank you for putting that so eloquently, because, Event Rider Masters is, like you say, freely available for everybody to watch and get involved in. And like you say, it's created a bit of a dilemma for yourself. Are you going to focus on those long formats and go to Blenheim, and then possibly that might be a ticket to some little party with some Olympic rings attached to it next year, or you might go to another Event Rider Masters and the finale nonetheless in Lignières, and there's another long course after that. You could go to Buccolo or something more exciting like that.
First world problems. We all know we don't get to make these choices very often with horses. They tend to make the choices for us, and to have a horse of that caliber with owners that are that supportive, and my family right behind me, it's all pretty magical stuff, and it is hard earned, and I think that's what makes it so much cooler, is that you're so aware of the other flip side of the coin, that when it does go your way, I'm still on cloud nine, and I don't intend to get off for a while.
Well, that's fantastic. And I just want to, indulge our listeners a little bit in the bit of a juxtaposition of the two guests I've just had on. So I've just been speaking to Finn Healy, who is all of 15 years of age and won 2 gold medals. And I know that's going to make us oldies, you and I, a little bit sick at the age and the success he's already had. But like you just alluded to it then, Lucy, about that, what you're achieving now has come from an awful lot of hard work and an awful lot of support. And I know you're never supposed to ask somebody how old they are, especially a lady, and all that sort of thing. But can you give us a hint at how long you've been eventing for, or what your age is, or something like that?
Well, I did say it's taken me 41 years to win a red rosette, and I really, really, really hope it doesn't take me another 41 to win the next one.
It does help, but I'm just going to tell our listeners you've not been eventing for 41 years. So
no, near on. No, I did have a 10-year gap to go to New Zealand and be a physiotherapist, and that was with humans, not horses. But it's an itch you've got to scratch, isn't it? It's such an addictive sport, and then you spend a lot of your life telling yourself why it's a terrible thing to be involved in and why there are much easier ways to make money, and then you get one high and it feels like it makes up for it all and inspires you to keep kicking.
Well, I'm glad you are inspired to keep kicking, and I'm going to keep kicking our listeners to keep following your progress because, like I said, it's fantastic. I'm super happy to have been able to have you back on the show. We don't always get guests on the show quite as often as what we you with yourself, but I'm hoping in another couple of months' time, after you've gone and win Blenheim or Buccolo or Linier or all of the 3 of those,
all 3,
that we might get you back on the show at the end of the season as well. So, Lucy, quickly sell yourself to the world on Instagram, on Facebook.
I'm hopeless. Lucy Jackson on Facebook. No Instagram. No website. But hopefully it's a name you'll hear a bit more of.
Most definitely. Lucy, thanks for being on the Eventing Radio Show.
Thank you for having me.
Introducing our new Ultra Premium Horse Feed, designed to deliver the competitive edge your horses need to stand above the rest. Our formulas are infused with a special blend of ingredients specifically developed to help maximize performance, support stamina, and maintain overall condition and appearance. When your horse's health and performance matter most, you want Pro Elite feeds.
Joining us now on the Eventing Radio Show is Russell Mueller from Pro Elite Horse Feeds. Russell, welcome to the Eventing Radio Show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure.
Now, Russell, I'm very keen to find out about your range because looking at your website here, proelitehorsefeed.com, and it looks like you have put an enormous amount of effort into making these feeds really scientifically beneficial for our horses. So what's the whole ethos behind Pro Elite?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time and effort, Paul, to really build the Pro Elite feed line to encompass the best of the best, and that's where the tagline comes from. There can only be one best. But we do have 5 feeds: growth, performance, senior, starch-wise and calorie-wise, that are feeds that are fed in a 5 to 6 pound a day range for a 1,000-pound horse, obviously based on the body type or what they're doing with that horse, whether it's growth or performance or an older horse for our senior feeds. And then we have 4 products that are in that supplement or top dress category. They're the Advantage line. We have grass and alfalfa Advantage that are top dresses that complement a forage type grass or alfalfa hay. And then we have Top Line Advantage, which is a really focused around amino acids to build the horse's top line and muscle recovery. And then we have Omega Advantage, which is a fat supplement to add calories to the diet, the 24% fat. But you add it on top, any of those 4 products, you add them on top of, say, the Pro Elite Growth, the Pro Elite Performance, or the Pro Elite Senior.
Pro Elite and your tagline, there can only be one best. Is it only the really super competitive elite level horses that you're aiming to look after, or is it the whole range of horses?
Oh, I think it's the whole range of horses. I mean, it's really based on that horse owner and what benefit they want to bring for their horse. Obviously, the super competitive, super elite, will get the most benefit out of what we're putting into Pro Elite, especially like the Pro Elite Performance. with the fat levels and the amino acid levels to really drive calorie sourcing and performance from an amino acid side from muscle recovery. But there's horse owners out there that they may not even be competing, but they're going to buy the best. And that's what Pro Elite is really targeting after, is that horse owner that's going to buy the best feed they can for their horses, whether they're competing or not. It's really what they want.
And you've already said that keyword a few times, amino acids. So when we're talking about all of these intricate details of the feeding, you said fats and amino acids and starches. That's the key that you build these products around. I mean, are they very descriptive in their product is telling us who the feed is based for? What the purpose of it is, and how that amino acids and starch mix together.
Yep. Yeah. When we'll just focus on the performance horse in kind of talking about amino acids, but the muscles of the horse, that drive performance, allow for collection, allow for anything that we're asking that horse to do. The muscle is the engine, and muscle is built from amino acids. 72% of muscle is amino acid. So as people go out and perform and train and compete on their horses, that muscle needs to be repaired and rebuilt. And that's what the amino acids in the diet do. The horse has to take amino acids in through the diet. There's 10 essential amino acids that have to be eaten on a daily basis to repair that muscle. And so when we're going out and really looking for ultimate performance and ultimate speed and recovery from our performance horses, that those amino acids are what allow that muscle to repair itself and really be fully functioning. The calories, whether it's fat or starches and sugars, is the fuel. That's like gasoline for a car. That's really the fuel that drives the performance. Both of those are going to be required for top level performance for any discipline.
Indeed. And so I noticed that you along with this tagline, it can only be one best. You mentioned something about the guaranteed analysis. So you're very, very particular at your company about making sure that your feeds are giving the right levels of amino acids and starch and fats, like you've just talked about.
Within our organization, we have one of the world's largest databases of ingredients and the nutrient contents that make up those ingredients. So, when we look at oats or beet pulp or, soybeans, what are the specific nutrient levels of those? We test those on a very regular basis and build that into our library, actually from worldwide. And that allows us to be very precise in the nutrient guarantees, amino acids, starch and sugar, fats, to make sure we're meeting those levels. But we only do it from the specific ingredients that we list on the tags of Pro Elite, and that's what we call nutrition lock formulas. We're only supplying it through the ingredients that we've told people that we're supplying it to, but we're always making sure we're meeting that nutritional need, because the nutrients are really what drive the performance and the result in the horse.
Indeed. If they're not getting the right nutrients, like you said, those muscles are not going to do what we're asking them to do on
Correct.
a daily basis.
Correct.
As a competition horse, as well as then just a riding horse. Any type of horse is definitely going to need the correct nutritional inputs going in there. There's lots of trendy words around prebiotics and probiotics and all that sort of thing. So you mentioned your range is not only the core feeding range, but you do supplements. And I think you have a little bit of a different take from other feed companies on a traditional supplement.
We do. When we're using the say the top line advantage or the omega advantage or grass and alfalfa advantage, you're adding that into, on top dressing on some other product by and large, but all those products have incredibly high levels of probiotics. Probiotics are the live bacteria, lactobacillus, bacillus subtilis, all those good bacteria that live in the horse's gut on a regular basis, and we're feeding more of those to the horse through the feeds. And the grass advantage, alfalfa advantage, those 4 kind of supplement top dresses are just super concentrated in those probiotics that we can, when you add it in on top. Plus we add 2 forms of prebiotic. So a prebiotic shows up on a tag as yeast culture, and prebiotics are food for the probiotics or the microbes that are already existing in the gut. So they just maintain a healthy environment within the gastrointestinal tract, so those microbes have a food source to remain viable around. So they're fully functioning, they're fully fed with the prebiotics, but we're really focused on those levels right now where we're at with the ProElite line overall. We have some of the highest level of pre and probiotics in the industry.
Well, it certainly sounds like you guys are going to the very in-depth detail to make sure that your horse feeds provide all of the correct nutritional requirements for all of our horses. So it's been great talking to you, Russell. Now, your product is available throughout the USA?
We are U.S.-based. We don't have anything outside of the U.S., and we are in the process of an expansion nationwide. So if any of your listeners are coming to the U.S. along the East Coast, where a lot of international competitions are, say Wellington or up in New York, the distribution is very strong there, really on the eastern third of the U.S. We recently have started an expansion westward into the central and western part of the U.S., and that's going incredibly well. So I would say within the next 3 to 6 months, we will have distribution within the U.S. coast to coast. Nothing international outside the U.S. borders as of yet. It's being considered, but right now we're U.S. based.
So anybody in the US who wants to find out more about your feed and indeed get some through their local supplier, if they go to proelitehorsefeed.com, I believe that they can do a bit of a geography search there and find their local distributor.
Yep, they sure can. We add all of our dealers up on the website on a very regular basis, so it's up to date. Just type in your zip code of where you're at, whether that's where you live or that's where you're traveling to. You can find the local supplier, and they will have it in stock.
Fantastic. Well, Russell, thank you very much for your time on the Eventing Radio Show. And as always, these links will be up on our website, so everybody can take a look at your fantastic range online.
Thank you.
Joining us now on the Eventing Radio Show, it is Australian international eventing rider Kevin McNabb. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Now, Kevin, you are very well known in the Australian eventing circuit, and you had an absolute and utterly mammoth eventing and equestrian operation in Australia. Now, a lot of our listeners are not necessarily in Australia, and I was going to hazard a guess that you've been out of Australia long enough that some of our Australian listeners may not even be aware of what you used to do in Australia. So just throw your mind back and just give us a little bit of an idea of what you were doing when you were in Australia in terms of the size and the scale and being a professional equestrian and event rider there.
Well, I did have it was quite a big operation there. It took quite a bit of managing. We had 50 to 70 horses in work, which were predominantly sale horses, all eventers, and so we would always have...
Let's just stop you there, mate. 50 to 70 event horses in work, competing probably, and the vast majority of them for sale. Did I get the figures right there?
Yeah, yep. It seemed like we had a lot more. They were very busy days. They weren't all upper level horses. I mean, most of them were younger horses, and I mean, some of them may not have even got to an event, but they were the ones that we liked. They were in and out quickly, but it was very busy.
So you're saying you most of them for sale. So how many were you trying to sell per year or per week or per day? Was there a quota that you were trying to fill with that sort of quantity of horses in your stables?
No, as many as we could.
So as many as you could, but that equated to how many on average?
We would like to... I couldn't give you an average. We just tried to keep ending up in the black each year.
Each year. Okay, you're gonna tell me how many horses you were selling a week then. I'm guessing there must have been at least one a week.
Yeah, we did try to sell at least one a week, but it did vary. I mean, different jobs came up, and so there might be 6-7 horses go one week, and then we might have a couple of weeks when nothing got sold. But we did try to sell something every week if we could.
Fair enough. And 50 odd horses. It can't just been yourself riding that many.
No, we always had sort of 3 or 4 riders there, and we were all busy enough.
So 3 or thereabouts riders. So that's still an awful lot of riding you're doing there, and an awful lot of selling, and an awful lot of traveling around Australia to all of the events. So, you're competing sort of, every single weekend.
No, I would say we would have competed 3 weeks out of 4, and we'd probably once a month we'd duck down Sydney way and do an event down there, or twice, depending what was on. But 3 weeks out of 4, I would say we were competing. It's very different to what it is over here.
Well, which brings me to my next question. So that's a very different setup, a very Australasian setup. When was your first trip over to the UK?
I actually came in May of 2012 for 3 months. I'm still here.
I was going to say, for 3, that's a very common story I hear from event riders. So you had planning for 3 months in 2012, and here we are in 2019, and you're still in the UK. So talk us through that process a little bit. It doesn't sound like being permanently based in the UK, which I suspect you now are, was ever part of the plan.
No, it wasn't part of the plan, but I was actually short on horses in Australia that were competing at a decent level, and Em had actually moved over in February because she had a very good horse. And so then in May, I decided to come over, and once we sort of saw what the calendar was like here, it was very hard to then turn around and move back to Australia, so we stayed.
Indeed, it's like a kid in a candy shop, isn't it? When you're an event rider in Australia and you're traveling vast distances to get to competitions which don't happen all that often, you land yourself in the UK and you can quite literally be competing 7 days a week, and probably only. I always used to say I got grumpy if I had to drive more than a 2-hour radius to be able to do that. Whereas in Australia, you said you mentioned you would duck down to Sydney for some events. Just tell our listeners, you ducked down to Sydney. What sort of a trip was that? How many hours?
Depending on where it was 12 to 14 hours driving. But I mean, when we came over here originally, and we travelled to a couple of events which we thought were just down the road. It was 5 hours, and one of the people I was riding for then said, "Oh, you're kidding! You're not going to go all that way, are you?" And I thought, "Oh well, it's just down the road. It's only 5 hours." But I think I've been here for long enough now that, as you say, if it gets past 2 hours, I'm thinking it's a long way.
It's amazing how our perspectives change. So just tell our listeners briefly, no more horses in Australia, everything's sold up there and everything's now in the UK?
Yeah, everything's over here now. Charlotte Price kept everything running, which she did a great job doing, and she gradually sold off the horses that we had left there. But we actually didn't have a lot of horses at that period of time, which did mean it was easier to go away. And she still has her own business running there now, which we're not involved in. And we've moved everything completely over here now.
So a marriage to Emma and a recent fatherhood. So congratulations on all of that. And fast forward then with the horses, how many horses, what's the team of horses look like now?
Yes, thank you very much. It's very different here, though. We would have a very small team of horses, 12 horses, competition horses for myself, and Em only has 5. And probably that won't ever change much. We have a few more horses in the yard, which are bits and pieces, but yeah, very different. We're not looking to have the same thing that we had in Australia. We're not running a sale yard. We do have some horses that are there for sale, but they're competition horses predominantly now.
It's very different, and you said very small, but actually that's not a small yard. So, 12 competition horses for yourself, that's very much a very busy competition yard, and 5 or so for Emma. So, 20-odd horses in work. It's still a big operation, and so it's only small by comparison to what you used to do in Australia. I'll put it out there.
Yeah, but I think over here, I don't think we'd even be able to have the number of horses that we had in Australia. It's a lot more labour intensive. You seem like you're busier doing that number of horses here than what we were in Australia doing double that. It's a very different setup.
Indeed. Well, Kevin, you've been doing quite well recently as well. Like I said, been able to steal your wife's horses, I think, and that might have boosted your chances in a few events recently. You were over at Millstreet recently. You had a good show there. You had a lorry full.
Yeah, no, I did have a good show there, and it was momentary, but I have had M's horse for the season. But I wasn't actually allowed to run him in anything terribly fun, so I did 3 stars on him, not 4 stars, and I thought if I was going to do 3 stars, then I might as well do somewhere I could win a little bit of money. So we went over to Ireland, and they had a 3-star series there, so we thought we might try and win that.
So that's the Horse Sport Ireland International Series, and I think it's promoting the Irish events. And Horse Sport Ireland is the governing body of all equestrian sport in Ireland. So this is the eventing specific version that I've just been announced that you're in an unassailable lead in the series. I think there's a few more competitions still to go, but you've tripped across, you must have your frequent flyer points on the ferry there to get across to Ireland and do these 3-star competitions. So talk to us, which ones did you do?
I did Kaluki, Campfire, which is also called Cappoquin, and Millstreet.
And what placings did you get in those 3?
I was lucky enough to manage 3 wins. So
well, that's no wonder you're an unassailable lead. So 3 wins, you're on fire, and this is on your wife's horse. And she's not let you go in 4-star. Presumably that means you're going to have to give it back very soon. That's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I've had my last ride, and at Millstreet, which I've got to say I was only just starting to get to know him. So I would have liked to have kept him a little bit more, but at the same time I'll be very happy to hand him back safe and sound, and hopefully he's happy with the job I've done on him.
Indeed. Happy wife, happy life. That's how it goes, isn't it, Kev?
That's what they tell me. I'm sticking to it.
That's what they tell you. Yeah, okay. I think you might know that by now. So the horse goes back, but 3 wins, very impressive, and a big prize fund put up by Horse Sport Ireland to promote these Irish events. So, I think you've won it last year as well. So you're guaranteed the win this year, even though it's not finished. And did you win it last year as well, or did you compete in it?
Yes, I did last year. It was the first year that they ran it, and I won it then with 2 firsts and a third. And so I did actually, when Em said, run him in some 3 stars, I did straight away think, okay, I'll target those. And they're also very good events, good ground, good courses, and we would go to those events with our good horses. So Em was always going to be happy with me taking her good horse there.
Fair enough. And so what's on the agenda now for Team McNab? Any major competitions coming up that you're going to continue your winning ways on?
Well, I hope so. But, I mean, I have been having a really good season. I haven't been winning quite at the level that I want to yet, but hopefully the horses will step up and be competitive at the next level as well. I have Blenheim coming up and then Poe. So hopefully they'll go well there.
Indeed, 4-star and 5-star. 4-star at Blenheim, 5-star at Poe. So super exciting to be competitive at that level. Now, I know you are probably not a huge fan of social media, Kev, but I know that your wife probably keeps the commercial side of things happening as well. So can you sell yourself to our listeners if they want to follow your progress and see whether you're continuing your winning ways at Blenheim at Poe? Are you on social media? Is there a Facebook or an Instagram or a Twitter?
Yes, I think that Em does. She does both Instagram. I know she does Facebook, and she also does Instagram. And on Facebook, it's called McNab Eventing, and I actually don't know what it would be called on Instagram.
Well, we're going to hazard a guess. It's going to be McNab Eventing again. But as always, we will have all of the links. We'll source it out for the listeners. We'll find you, and we'll put the links on the website for everybody. So just head over to our website, and then you'll be able to follow McNab Eventing. Kevin, thank you for coming on the Eventing Radio Show today.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, that was a great show. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to all of our guests today. It's a super busy time of year for eventing, so it's fantastic that they all took a little bit of time out of their hectic lives to join us here on the Eventing Radio Show. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Eventing Riders Association of North America podcast. You can learn more about the Eventing Riders Association of North America at the website eraofna.com. We will have all of the links to today's guests and topics on our website, eventingradio.com. Just follow Eventing Radio on Facebook as well. You can search for Eventing Radio Show on Twitter at Eventing Radio. You can listen to us anytime, anywhere with the free Horse Radio Network app. It's on iPhone and Android devices. Just go to your app store and search for Horse Radio Network. And of course, you can also subscribe via iTunes. Thanks for listening.